Hey everybody, it's Doc Green, the Road Scholar. Let me roll that window up real quick. Okay, guys, I noticed a lot of y'all seem to be more interested in the oil fields than probably any other part. I do talk a lot about Dart lease because that's who I'm with now is Dart. But I'm going to talk about the oil fields again today. And the reason is because a lot of you guys have shown an interest in going out to the oil fields or working in them and everything, and you want some more information. So I guess I need to start off at the beginning. When you're first looking for a company to go work for, a lot of people will tell you, be sure and do your research on the companies. It doesn't matter. All of them suck. They're going to jack you around one way or another, every one of them. And don't let them lie to you and tell you that they have a good retention and everything. None of them do. Um, I'll tell you this much. When you go into the oil fields, we already went over a lot of it about how much money you need and time off and all that stuff and everything. But I'm going to get into about the lease programs some of these companies are offering. If you go into the oil fields, do not do a lease program with the company that you're working for. Go find yourself a truck somewhere else and lease it or whatever. I know that some of us don't have the credit or whatever to go out and get a truck or something. Then you're not ready for the oil fields anyway. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Um, these companies have, if you do, because some of you are going to go do a lease program with these companies. Make sure it's a walk away lease. That means that if you work out there about 3 months, 4 months, and you realize you're not making any money, and that truck is tearing up and costing you more money to put in repairs than you're making, and you're ready to go, you could go park that truck at their company and you can walk away, and that won't not affect your credit. It will not on a walk away lease. Do not get into a 3 year bounded lease or something like that. The reason I did with Dart is totally different. It's not the oil fields. Well, I'll get into that later. But a walkaway lease is absolutely necessary if you're going to be working with a company in the oil fields because you're going to, you may, or if you make it great, I have not known one person, not one, that's been in the oil fields and did a lease to purchase a truck with the company they're working for that actually ended up getting all the way through their lease. As a matter of fact, when Amerifield started it, I think their turnover rate was humongous. I think I was one of the longest ones there that started with them. I stayed with them about 8 months into the lease program before I left. And I didn't leave because of the lease program. I left because of personal reasons at home, and I had to go back home and do things. But I don't think anyone lasted as long on the lease program as I did. I watched some of them trucks go to 2 or 3 drivers. And here's another thing they do: they'll ask you have to build up an escrow account with Merrifield. It was $500 a week for 10 weeks. Didn't really bother me that much because I was making 5, 6,000, 6,500. One check for almost 7,000 or a little over 7,000, and so I didn't mind them taking $500 a week out for my escrow fee. The problem is a lot of those drivers that left didn't get their escrow fee back. A lot of them. I got mine back, and I'm going to say that was part and due to the videos I put out, and like this one where I told on the company, and I don't think they would have given me my money back. They may have, but it took them a few weeks. It took them like 5 weeks to get my money back to me. But that was in the contract, so I mean, they kept up their end of the bargain on that. But again, I think the only reason I got mine back is because of my videos and the crap that I raised out there, and causing their trucks to shut down. They realized that once the drivers started sticking together, that they were in trouble, and they were afraid, I think, to push it with me because of the video influence I had on YouTube and the way that we were shutting their trucks down. If they would not have paid me, I think they feared that I would get back on and start shutting their trucks down, even though I wasn't working there anymore, which is something that really needed to be done at the time. Still needs to be done, from what I understand is going on in the oil fields. But that's going to be up to the drivers that are out there now. I don't know if they have the ability to unionize or the ability to stick together like we did. We just got hit real hard by Merrifield one week, and a lot of us had just gotten fed up. And we were out there talking. I mean, you know how it is, guys. You all sit out there talking everything about unionizing and this and that, and we need to shut them down. And everyone's scared to start. Everyone's scared to be the first truck to do it because they're afraid they're going to get fired. So what I did, and me and several of the other drivers, there's about 4 or 5 of us that led that little revolution against Amerifield. That's what I call it. Where we went and talked to all the people we were talking to for weeks out there, and then when they finally hit that one thing where they really messed us over on one serious pay period, we all went back there when we were talking to the five of us, because I was talking to certain drivers, one of the other guys was talking to other drivers, and I hate to say it, it was kind of a race thing out there. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't racial, but like the one driver was talking to a lot of the black drivers that were out there, and there was another older black guy. I can't remember his name right now, man. But he was talking to a lot of the other black drivers. I was talking to a lot of the white drivers and stuff. It's like I don't know why it was a race thing out there. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just who we were talking to. So when I talked to all the white drivers that I've been talking to, and a lot of black drivers, because a lot of you know my background, know that I'm mixed and everything, but um, we were talking to all these drivers, and I went back and talked to the group I was talking to. The other four guys went back and talked to their drivers and everything, and we all got it together, and we all decided at one time we're not going to do it anymore. Shut it down, and that's what we did. That's what we had to do. And to be honest, that's what you need to do in the oil field. The oil fields need a union because it's not like other companies out here. You got big companies out here that pays on time. I mean, the drivers may complain and stuff, but the pays on time. They got benefits. They got a lot of things going on. They don't really need unions out here over the road. I don't feel they do, but some drivers may disagree with that. But the oil field needed a union because the companies, every one of them, was run by shysters and crooks. It's just that either that, or I'm going to say either it was shysters and crooks, or it was people who did not know anything about how to run a business. They just had a lot of money and went and started a company and didn't know the first thing about how to run that company. They couldn't get the payroll right, couldn't get the trips right. They would go give up the farm. But this video is going way off what I thought it was going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly the problems of the oil fields and why it was such a problem. These company owners were giving away the farm. They were getting the runs, but they would go back and tell Halliburton stuff like they said Halliburton refused to pay detention. Well, here's the thing: if Halliburton's paying one company detention, they're paying all companies detention. It's the thing is the company would go to Halliburton and say, "Hey, look, we won't charge for detention." And they would, of course, they get the contract. The only thing is that would do is then the next company would come in there looking for a contract, and Halliburton would say, "Well, why would we go with you? This other company's doing it for no detention." So then they have to offer no detention. It ended up screwing the drivers over because the company said, "Well, we're losing money too because they got a part of the detention." Yeah, a very small part, but so they were willing to give it up. Whereas the problem we were having is that we were getting no money. Man, we'd be stuck on the oil field. So if the wells go down, you're stuck out there 24, 36, 48 hours, sometimes even longer, and you're not making a penny that entire time. But except for the detention, it was only good for so many hours before it cut off. But at least we were getting something. But they gave a lot of the oil companies or frac hauling or sand frac hauling companies gave away the detention to the detriment of the drivers. They were still getting paid for the runs, so they didn't really care. They're still making their money, but you weren't making any. And while your trucks were stuck on this well, the company was still making money from other trucks going in and out of some other well, and they wouldn't pull you off this well to go to the other one uh, because actually I don't know why they didn't, but good God, it was a mess. Then the Halliburton started charging a fee for every load you did to take care of maintenance on their trailer, on their chassis. Halliburton designed a chassis that was really, it's a crap chassis. Anytime you get a chassis from Halliburton or you're running one of their chassis, every time you hook up to it, you need to inspect that chassis thoroughly. Now, I know the problem is if you find something wrong with it, you still got, man, I've been down for 2 days. I need to run. And some of the guys take those chassis out and keep running them when they're tore up and just won't say anything. And they may be partnered up with someone else that's not saying anything. Sooner or later, Halliburton's going to find out what's wrong with that trailer, and whichever one of you were the last ones driving it is going to have to repair everything on it. Not only that, but they were taking out a maintenance fee for them. And not only were they charging you the maintenance fee, but then when you'd have a flat, they still charge you for the flat on top of it. It was crazy. The chassis were designed wrong. The way they wired them, the wires were rubbing against the frames of the chassis. They weren't strapped down enough, and they run shorts in them and get shorts all the time. Their lights weren't working. It was a bad, bad design. I mean, they what they were doing was trying to make them as light as they could, and I understand that, but you got to keep them together, and their chassis just weren't holding up to it. So that's another thing you have to be aware of when you go to the oil fields. As again, as you've seen in my last video, you're going to be changing. If you're using their chassis, you're going to be switching out that chassis with somebody else. So you may go make one run, you get stuck out there for 2 days, you got paid for that one run, then you got to bring it all the way back into the yard, let someone else start running, and he's got it while the well's up, and he's making 4 or 5 runs that day, and you come back in that night and you make 2 or 3 runs, and so you didn't make any money for the days you were stuck out there, and you had to give up your chassis. So when you were able to start running, you couldn't run because somebody else needed your chassis. Halliburton didn't care. They don't care. Uh, and I see Halliburton's view. They honestly don't care. That's not their problem. They don't. It actually is their problem because it was their well that went down. Usually because of something that their people did wrong on the well, but they weren't going to take the hit for it, even though they're going to make millions of dollars off that well for years to come. They weren't going to share it with the drivers. So the companies went in, they made these deals about not charging detention, start charging maintenance fees. Um, you had to switch in and out of the chassis, and the companies did not fight for the drivers as a whole. And they couldn't, because if they tried to fight Halliburton over it, Halliburton would just say no, and let go of that company, hire another company right in there that would screw their drivers over and keep running. So it wasn't like one company could stand up to them. It had to be all the companies, but all the companies were scared to because they were afraid they'd lose a contract to someone else. Understandable. What needs to happen out in the oil fields, and I said it then, I'll say it now. Oil fields need to. We almost unionized. I should not have left when I did, but I had some family problems I had to get taken care of. We were that close to being unionized. We were about to send out the union cards and everything else. And people, contrary to popular belief, your company cannot fire you while you're forming a union. If you notify the company we are forming a union, they cannot fire you, they cannot transfer you, they cannot transfer the drivers around, because that's what our company started trying to do. They started trying to move us, separate us, and break us apart so we couldn't have a vote to unionize, and that's illegal. And I had to tell them that, so they had to keep us together. And oh, they hated that, but they knew they were in trouble. If I would have stayed out there, I think another month, I think we would have been unionized. And then I had other companies, drivers that were looking to do the same thing at 1845, Tuttle and Tuttle, and some of the other ones. The truth is, in that industry, you need a union. The drivers need to form a union. Now, some drivers are just not going to want to do it. That's up to them. They don't have to vote to do it or not, but the oil fields need a union. And you cannot be fired. They cannot take work away from you or anything else. They cannot punish you in any way for telling them you want to form a union. That's illegal. It's against federal law, and the FBI will step in, along with the Department of Transportation and several other organizations will step in. Union labor laws, all of them, they will step in and tell that company, no, this. And if they need to, they will even take over the company temporarily until the vote is in. So you do not have to fear about losing your job over that. They said, oh, they'll find some other reason to fire you. Yeah. So you know what we did? We all stuck together. When they tried to pull one of us out, we all went in. They said, if you pull him out, we shut the trucks down again. Because, yeah, we did shut the trucks down on them a couple times. Halliburton is not going to play that. Halliburton's not going to sit there and play with some company that they can't keep their drivers happy. They'll just replace the company. So the company has got to fold. A lot of people, that sounds good in theory. No, it wasn't theory. We did it. Point blank, we did it at Amerifield. Um, Again, if I would have been able to stay over there about another 4 to 8 weeks, I think we would have been completely unionized and all the drivers would have been protected. We could have even got our own insurance plans and everything, but we didn't. I couldn't. I had family things I had to take care of at home, and I guess everything kind of fell apart after I left there. But that's neither here nor there. The oil fields need a union. I know a lot of people are going to start commenting on here. You watch. This video is going to get more comments than anyone else telling me how wrong I am and this and that and everything. I had comments whenever we did it, whenever we started shutting trucks down. Some other drivers got on there and got mad because I put the video out and said, oh, we were working on things behind the scenes you didn't know anything about. You cost us this and you almost cost us a contract. You almost cost us our jobs. Why are you working if you're not getting paid? And because all of my drivers and all of our drivers that were pro union stepped in and said, look, do what you want to do. We're not running. We're not getting paid. We should not have to beg for our money. So anyway, that was a big contention with me and some of the other drivers. Very few of them. Some of them were scared and didn't want their names mentioned. I get it. So we didn't. I didn't mention their names or anything. We just started shutting trucks down. And whenever Halliburton looks around and they don't have any sand, they call up a Merrifield, and a Merrifield's looking around. Because I sent a message to a Merrifield. If we're not paid by a certain time, we're going to start shutting down. And I think they thought we were bluffing. They immediately called me. The owner of the company himself called me and got things straightened out. Got our pay to us that day. They started making deposits. Didn't even wait till midnight for the money to hit our banks. They went out and started making cash deposits into our bank accounts that day. Within hours, we were all paid and running again. It's not that we didn't want to work; we just want to be paid for it. That's what you have to. That's what you have to look forward to. So don't sit here and think that you're going to go look on internet. You're going to hear some guy talk about how great it is, and this guy talking about how great it is, and everything. You need someone who's going to be real with you, and that's what I'm going to be. Real with you. A lot of people say, well, you don't have to worry about it because you're not going to lose your job. If you stick together, you won't either. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We didn't lose our jobs. I had to leave for my family reasons. We were very on our way to doing very well in the oil fields, but that happened. You need a union for several reasons. One, to make sure you're getting paid on time. Two, to make sure that you're treated correctly and that they don't get mad at you and keep runs from you and stuff while letting other people run. Number three, you need to make sure that you need health insurance and life insurance, which we could have gotten at a discounted group if had we unionized. That's another reason you need an oil field union because these are owner operators out here, and you don't have any insurance. And Obamacare doesn't cover it because you make too much. So you need a group insurance policy. That's another reason. Another reason you need is to make sure the hiring and firing process is correctly. That the owner can't just come in mad at you because you said something and fire you. You need a union to protect you from that. The union needs to be a part of the firing and hiring process. You need to make sure the drivers out there have the proper equipment, proper training. Because I'm telling you, they don't train you. They will literally send you out there, tell you to hook up to a chassis. They won't tell you the first thing about how to lock a box down, where to go, or anything. We, the drivers ourselves at Amerifield, had to start training each other. I even made a video on it for Amerifield to start showing to the other drivers with the new hires and everything, so they had some concept of an idea of what they were doing. No, they didn't teach you how to lock down boxes. I knew it because I worked in uh, the rails, the rail yards. I did intermodal for a long time, so I knew how to lock down trailers. I knew that you had to have safety latches. I knew that you had to have zip ties on them. They don't teach you all of this stuff. They just tell you to go to work. They don't teach you about the top endedness, heaviness on a chassis. You cannot sit there and take a turn in a semi truck with a sandbox on the back at the same speed you do in a 53-foot trailer. Its center of gravity is much different. You have to drive totally different. You cannot buy. They didn't teach us how to bypass on the dirt roads. They didn't tell us. I did not know, and I know a lot of the other drivers didn't know about waiting spots. So when we first started, we were just heading straight into the well, bypassing all these other drivers that have been waiting in a waiting zone for the well to come back so they could go to work. And we bypassed them two or three times. They're sitting over there. No one told us until one of the drivers finally caught us and cussed me out, and I don't blame them. I had to apologize and show them on my phone where they told me to go straight to the well. But I misunderstood what the message meant. It meant to go to the waiting area, which I didn't even know we had a waiting. These are things they don't tell you. And then you make enemies out there. I mean, luckily, a lot of the drivers realize because they went through the same thing. So they don't tell you about the when you're first going out there that you have to buy fire protective clothing. It's more expensive, but there are places that sell it used, usually around the oil wells or gas wells where they're drilling at. You can find some places that sell it cheaper than buying it brand new, but you will need to buy fire retardant clothing. You need to get HS2 certified. You need to get PPE certified. These all cost money, and they're going to come out of your first check, um, or first couple of checks, depending on how much money you're making. You need boots. You are not allowed to wear tennis shoes out there. Um, they need to be steel-toed boots. So these are things that you need to be aware of before you go out to the field. Be aware that you're going to be stuck out there sometimes 2 or 3 days. You can't move. And a lot of drivers will go out there. They didn't know. They didn't have any food. They didn't have a microwave. They didn't have a refrigerator. They didn't know. I didn't at first. Luckily I had some food on my truck and everything. The last me, I didn't. It was by accident. But they don't tell you these things. So that's some of the big things you need to know when you go to the oil fields. You need to understand that those trucks are very top center heavy, meaning the center of the trailer that the box sits on, that is very heavy and can flip over very easily. I've seen drivers go out there and not lock their boxes down, or they lock them down driving out there, get on the waiting pad, and they would be slick because there's mud a lot of mud up by the well usually. So they didn't want to get out there and get their boots all muddy and track it back in their truck. So they would unlock their boxes on the waiting pad, and in driving and taking a turn to get into the well, the box flipped over. Happened several times. When it's raining out there and you're driving on those muddy roads, they get slick as heck. And you're trying to past another truck, and you're too far over to the edge, and all of a sudden your truck just slides. Not your fault. It just happens. Slides right off the edge. I've seen trucks mine got stuck a couple of times. I think I got stuck twice. I see trucks get stuck all the time. And then I see some that flipped over. The turns you're taking out there are so sharp that two trucks cannot make that turn. The one that's empty is supposed to back up. The one that is loaded is supposed to wait, or he's supposed to have the right of way, so he's supposed to be able to go through. But there's been times when they have us on these roads that are so long that I'm driving down here for like a mile or two. Another truck is loaded coming up. We're stuck. What was supposed to happen is whoever released the trucks to come up was supposed to make sure we were out of there first. And we get stuck on a road that's literally not wide enough for both trucks. So I'm backing up a mile back down the road to get out of this guy's way. It's a disaster. There really needs to, a union could fix all of that because a union could put training in place for drivers. They could pre-check drivers. They could make sure the drivers are qualified, certified, and everything. It could help the companies out a lot. It could help Halliburton out a lot. The unions could make sure everyone is paid on time. The unions could make sure that you are happy. The unions could make sure that if there's an issue that you've been stuck on a well a couple of days and you got your time back, the other driver could get a different kind of check. There could be all kinds of things unions could help with, or a union could help with. But I don't know. It would take someone it would be a full time job for someone to go down there and get it running as a union because you would have to talk to all the drivers and everything. And I've thought about going back and doing it. I haven't had enough feedback to know if that would be a good idea or not. So some of you guys might want to let me know. I'm sure we could find someone that could take over that responsibility if you wanted to. Some of you guys that want to go out there, that's what you have to look forward to. So anyway, that's this video for today. Uh, I just had to talk about, you need to get these certifications done. The companies are not going to pay for them. Or if they pay for them, you're going to have to pay them back. A lot of the companies won't even pay for them. You have to pay for it out of your pocket. You're going to need your protective gear before you go out there. Now, the company may issue you a pair of overalls and some goggles and the gas detector, and they may or may not give you a hard hat, things like that. Gloves, there's certain kind of gloves you need and everything. So that's all. And you got to be putting it on. Even though you're wearing you've got to be wearing protective gear. So if you're out there in normal clothing, you've got to put on these overalls and everything that are protective and put them up. Really, you're not supposed to wear these regular clothes at all out there because fire could catch even underneath their protective gear. So it's supposed to be nothing but protective gear out there. Ah, man, West Texas, that's a whole different ball game out there. But anyway, that's just some things I had to put out here because I see a lot of you are interested in knowing more things about the Oilfield. A lot of these drivers that are on my channel are actually guys that taught me how. A lot of my subscribers are guys that taught me a lot of this stuff while I was out there. So they may have some more comments and stuff below that you may want to pay attention to. Thank you for joining in. Oh, by the way, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. I have 9,000 or 986 subscribers. When I hit 1,000, I will be giving away 3 Adidas backpacks. They cost about $70 each. Really good, you know Adidas, and I will be giving away 3 Adidas baseball caps. So there'll be 6 prizes in total given away when I hit 1,000 subscribers. The reason I'm doing that is to thank all you guys, and I appreciate you watching. So every time, once I hit, if y'all want to share it with whoever that may be thinking about going out there, whatever. But as soon as I get 1,000 subscribers, I will do a contest where I'll tell guys to put in their email address or a Facebook link or something, or some way to get a hold of them, and we will be picking at random who wins the 3 backpacks and the 3 Adidas hats. So that's I am getting my own gear made for the Road Scholar channel. I'm just having it's hard for me to find the right vendors and everything when I'm out here on the road. My wife is working on that though, so that road Scholar gear will be coming out. It's gonna be really cool designs. We're going to try to personalize them each and every one, so when you order it, it will have your name on the sleeve of T-shirts, your own name. Um, just a little something extra we're trying to do for the subscribers on here. Uh, anyway, that's about all I have for this one. Have a good day.